In 2025, I stand before you not as someone who has it all figured out, but as someone who is deeply aware of the ongoing journey of self-discovery. The path I'm walking now isn't the one I imagined for myself, but it's the one I'm embracing with everything I have. What we must understand is that growth doesn't happen in a straight line. It doesn't always come with bright lights and applause. Sometimes growth is quiet, personal, and hidden in moments that no one else sees. And for me, 2025 is about that quiet growth. It's about shifting my perspective and focusing solely on the person staring back at me in the mirror every day. Every day I wake up with a deep understanding that this life is fragile. It's not about the accolades, the recognition, or the praise. It's about being present and being true to yourself. Too often, we get caught up in the race, looking to the left or the right, comparing ourselves to others, measuring our success by someone else's standards. But what I've come to understand is that none of that truly matters. What matters is where I am in this very moment and what I am choosing to do with it. I often think back to all those moments when I hesitated, when I doubted myself. We all have our own doubts, right? The doubts that creep into our minds when we're alone, the ones that tell us we're not enough or that we'll never be able to achieve what we set out to do. But here's what I've learned in 2025, those doubts. They're part of the process. They don't define us, they're just noise, distractions meant to keep us from stepping into our full potential. Now, looking ahead to the next year, I remind myself that it's all about the effort. The effort I put in today will shape tomorrow. I want to be someone who doesn't just talk about dreams, but takes real steps to make them come true. I want to be someone who stays focused, who isn't swayed by what's trending or by the opinions of others. In a world that's constantly telling you to be someone else, to fit into a mold, I refuse to lose myself. I won't sacrifice my authenticity for the sake of convenience. There are days when the world feels too loud. The noise of expectations, the constant barrage of social media, the pressure to be perfect, they all have a way of making us forget who we truly are. But if 2025 is teaching me anything, it's this: the moment I stop looking outside myself for validation, the more I find peace within. It's not about waiting for others to give you approval. It's about looking inward and being proud of who you're becoming, not who you've been. I can't help but reflect on all the things I've learned so far, on all the challenges I've faced. Some of those challenges knocked me down, and there were moments when I thought I wasn't going to get back up. But in those dark moments, I realized something: the only thing that can truly defeat you is your own decision to stay down. So I made a choice, and every day I choose to rise. It's not easy and it's not always pretty, but I've realized that the strength to keep moving forward doesn't come from avoiding the struggle. It comes from pushing through it. 2025 is a reminder that the journey is ongoing, and I don't have to have it all figured out right now. There's no finish line. We don't wake up one day and become the people we aspire to be. It's about the small steps, the little victories that we often overlook. It's the quiet moments of reflection that build the foundation for bigger breakthroughs. And as I look ahead, I'm not thinking about where I should be by the end of this year or the next. I'm thinking about how I can show up every day as the best version of myself. I often find myself asking, who do I want to become? That's a question that challenges me every single day. I know that I have so much more to give, so much more to give, so much more to experience, but the real work starts with who I am right now. There's a difference between being comfortable and being fulfilled. Being comfortable is easy. It's letting life pass by without taking any risks. But fulfillment, that comes from stepping into discomfort, from doing the things that scare you, from trying even when you're not sure you can succeed. In the years leading up to 2025, I've had my fair share of victories, but I've also faced setbacks, moments when I thought I wasn't capable, when I doubted my own potential. But each time I fell, I learned something new about myself. I learned that failure is not the end, but a lesson in disguise. It's a reminder that success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about embracing it as part of the process. In fact, some of my greatest lessons have come from moments when I stumbled and had to pick myself back up. So as I look toward the future, I ask myself, how do I want to be remembered? The truth is, I don't have control over how others will remember me. But what I do have control over is how I live my life now. It's about creating a life that feels meaningful, not just for the sake of external recognition, but for my own fulfillment. I don't need accolades or praise to know that I've made a difference. I just need to know that I've stayed true to my values, that I've lived in alignment with what I believe in. Every morning, I remind myself to focus on what truly matters. Life moves so fast, and it's easy to get swept up in the demands of the world around us. But when we take a moment to stop and breathe, to check in with ourselves, we realize that the real power lies within us. The power to choose, the power to act, the power to change our circumstances. That power doesn't come from the outside world, it comes from within. And that's what I want to carry with me into 2025, the knowledge that my potential is limitless. No one else can define my limits. I am the one who decides how far I can go. The only person standing in my way is me. If I can break free from the self-imposed barriers I've built, there's nothing I can't achieve. I am the creator of my own future. I want to be someone who not only chases dreams, but takes responsibility for making them happen. It's not enough to wish for something, you have to work for it. And when the work gets tough, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, that's when the real progress happens. Growth happens in the moments when we push through the discomfort, when we refuse to give up no matter how many times we fall. There are days when the world feels overwhelming. It's easy to get lost in the noise, to feel insignificant, or to wonder if any of it is worth it. But then I remember that the only way to truly fail is to stop trying. I may not have everything figured out, but I know this: I am moving forward, one step at a time. I may not always know where that path will lead, but I trust that if I keep showing up, if I keep putting in the work, I'll end up exactly where I need to be. 2025 is a year of transformation. It's a year of becoming more of who I am meant to be, not just for myself, but for the people who need to see it. Because we're all in this together. We all have a role to play, and our individual journeys contribute to the collective experience. The more we focus on our own growth, the more we have to offer the world. I want to be someone who makes a positive impact, not through grand gestures, but through the simple act of living authentically, of showing up as myself. So as I move into 2025, I focus on the work I need to do within myself. I focus on nurturing my strengths, confronting my weaknesses, and embracing the discomfort that comes with growth. This year, I commit to giving my best to the present moment, to being fully engaged in whatever I'm doing, and to continuously striving for personal evolution. Because the truth is, there's no destination. There's no final version of me waiting to emerge. The process of becoming is never finished, and that's what makes life so beautiful. It's a journey. And in 2025, I'm committed to staying present on that journey, to being patient with myself, and to fully embracing the person I am becoming. The journey of self-discovery is ongoing. Growth doesn't happen overnight, and it's often quiet and internal. Focus on your own evolution rather than external validation, and understand that each small step forward counts. Doubts and failures are inevitable, but they are also powerful learning opportunities. Success is not defined by avoiding challenges, but by how you respond to them, learning from each setback and choosing to rise again. In a world full of distractions and societal pressures, staying true to who you are is essential. Avoid comparing yourself to others and prioritize what aligns with your values and passions. Authenticity is key to finding fulfillment. Focus on the present moment and the work that needs to be done today. Life moves quickly, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by the future or distracted by the past. Embrace each moment with intention, knowing that consistent effort shapes the future. Personal growth is one of the most powerful and transformative forces in our lives. It is the journey we embark on to become the best versions of ourselves, and it is not always easy or linear. In fact, growth is often messy, uncomfortable, and filled with challenges that test our resilience. Yet, it is in these moments of discomfort that we discover our true strength, capabilities, and potential. personal growth is not just about achieving success or reaching a specific goal. It is about constantly evolving, learning, and embracing new experiences that shape us into more complete individuals. When we think about personal growth, we often imagine a distant destination, a place where we are completely content with ourselves, free from doubt, and fully confident in our abilities. However, the reality is that personal growth is not a single event, but a continuous process. It's about taking small steps every day, making conscious choices to improve ourselves, and being patient with the journey. Growth doesn't always happen in grand, dramatic moments. Sometimes it's the quiet, unnoticed actions that lead to the most profound changes. We may not always see the immediate results of our efforts, but over time we realize that our thoughts, behaviors, and attitudes have shifted in a way that makes us stronger and more capable. A crucial aspect of personal growth is the ability to embrace change. Change is often met with resistance, as it takes us out of our comfort zones and forces us to face the unknown. It's easy to become attached to our current situation, even if it's not serving us well, simply because it's familiar. But true growth requires us to step outside of what feels safe and to push beyond our limits. It involves challenging ourselves to take risks, face fears, and be open to new possibilities. When we resist change, we limit our potential and stay stuck in patterns that prevent us from evolving. But when we embrace change, we open ourselves up to new experiences, perspectives, and opportunities that help us grow into the people we are meant to be. To embrace personal growth, we must also develop self-awareness. We are constantly surrounded by new information, ideas, and experiences, and it's important to remain open to learning throughout our lives. Whether it's through formal education, reading, or life experiences, there is always something new to discover. The process of learning doesn't end when we graduate from school or when we reach a certain age. In fact, some of the most profound lessons come from unexpected places. Embracing a mindset of continuous learning keeps us curious, adaptable, and open to new possibilities. It also allows us to develop the skills and knowledge we need to overcome challenges and achieve our goals. One of the most important aspects of personal growth is resilience. Life is full of obstacles, setbacks, and difficult times. These challenges can be overwhelming, and it's easy to feel defeated when things aren't going as planned. But resilience is what allows us to bounce back from adversity and keep moving forward. It's the ability to remain strong and focused even when the world seems to be falling apart. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship or pretending that everything is okay. It's about facing difficulties head on, learning from them, and using them as stepping stones toward growth. Resilient individuals are not defined by their circumstances, they are defined by how they respond to them. They recognize that setbacks are not the end, but rather an opportunity to learn, adapt, and improve. Along with resilience, another key trait of personal growth is the ability to practice patience. In a world that values instant gratification, it can be difficult to accept that growth takes time. We live in an age of social media and constant comparison, where it seems like everyone else is achieving success faster or more effortlessly than we are. But the truth is that personal growth is a slow and steady process. It requires time, effort, and consistency. There will be days when progress feels slow or when it feels like we're not making any headway at all. But if we remain patient and keep putting in the work, the results will come. Patience allows us to stay focused on the long-term vision, even when the immediate results are not as visible. One of the most rewarding aspects of personal growth is the sense of empowerment it brings. When we actively work on ourselves and make progress, we gain a sense of control over our lives. We stop feeling like victims of our circumstances and start to see ourselves as the creators of our own destiny. This sense of empowerment allows us to take ownership of our decisions and actions, and it gives us the confidence to pursue our dreams and goals. Personal growth also helps us develop a greater sense of self-worth. As we improve ourselves and overcome challenges, we begin to recognize our own value and capabilities. This newfound self-worth not only boosts our confidence, but also allows us to show up more fully in our relationships, career, and other areas of life. As we embrace personal growth, it's essential to surround ourselves with a supportive environment. Growth is not something that can be achieved in isolation. We need the support, encouragement, and feedback of others to help us along the way. This can come in many forms: mentors, friends, family, or even communities that share similar goals and values. The people we surround ourselves with play a critical role in our growth journey, as they provide motivation, guidance, and perspective. They help us stay accountable to our goals and offer insights that we may not see on our own. It's important to cultivate relationships with people who challenge us, inspire us, and push us to be better versions of ourselves. However, while external support is important, we must also learn to rely on ourselves. At the end of the day, personal growth is a deeply internal process. It's about taking responsibility for our own lives and decisions. We can't always rely on others to guide us or make choices for us. We must develop the strength and confidence to trust ourselves even when we feel uncertain. Self-reliance doesn't mean doing everything on our own. It means having the courage to take ownership of our growth and take the necessary actions to move forward. In addition to self-reliance, another key element of personal growth is the ability to set meaningful goals. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It requires intentional effort. Setting clear, achievable goals gives us a sense of direction and purpose. Goals act as a roadmap that guides our actions and helps us stay focused on what matters most. Without goals, it's easy to become distracted or lose sight of what we truly want to achieve. However, it's important to remember that goals should be flexible. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and we may encounter unexpected obstacles along the way. The key is to remain adaptable and adjust our goals as needed, while still maintaining our commitment to growth. Throughout the journey of personal growth, it's important to celebrate progress, no matter how small it may seem. In a culture that often emphasizes perfection and achievement, we can easily overlook the small victories along the way. But these small victories are the building blocks of larger success. Each time we overcome a challenge, learn a new skill, or make progress toward a goal, we should take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate that accomplishment. Celebrating progress boosts our motivation and reminds us that growth is happening even when it feels slow. Lastly, personal growth is about giving ourselves grace. We are all human, and we will make mistakes along the way. There will be moments when we fall short of our expectations or when we stumble in our efforts to grow. It's important to remember that growth is not about perfection, it's about progress. We need to be kind to ourselves, acknowledge our setbacks, and keep moving forward. Growth is not a destination, it is a lifelong journey that requires patience, resilience, and self-compassion. By embracing the process, we allow ourselves to evolve into the best versions of who we are meant to be. Doubt and setbacks are inherent parts of the human experience. They are unavoidable, persistent, and often paralyzing forces that we all must face at one point or another. The truth is that doubts and setbacks are not just part of the journey, they are the journey. It's not the absence of difficulty that defines success, but how we respond to the challenges that life throws our way. The key to overcoming doubt and setbacks lies not in avoiding them, but in learning how to face them with resilience, patience, and unwavering determination. Doubt is a powerful thing. It can creep into our minds when we least expect it and challenge the very core of our beliefs. It whispers that we aren't good enough, that our goals are out of reach, or that we will never be able to achieve what we set out to do. These thoughts can be overwhelming, paralyzing even, and they often stop us in our tracks. Doubt doesn't just question our abilities, it challenges our entire sense of self-worth. It makes us feel small, insignificant, and unworthy of success. The more we listen to it, the more it takes control over our decisions, actions, and lives. However, doubt is not something that should be feared. It is simply a mental hurdle that we must overcome. The first step in overcoming doubt is acknowledging it for what it is: a temporary feeling. Doubt is not a reflection of your abilities or potential, it is just a product of your mind, a natural response to uncertainty. It often arises when we are stepping into new territory or when we are faced with the unknown. It's a signal that we are pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones, and that's when growth occurs. One of the most effective ways to confront doubt is to reframe the way we think about it. Instead of seeing doubt as a barrier, we can view it as a signal that we are challenging ourselves and growing. It's a reminder that we are attempting something that matters, something that takes courage. Rather than allowing it to hold us back, we can use doubt as motivation to keep moving forward. Instead of asking ourselves, what if I fail? We can ask, what if I succeed? By shifting our mindset, we take control over doubt instead of letting it control us. In addition to reframing doubt, it's important to cultivate a deep sense of self-belief. Self-belief doesn't mean we have all the answers or that we will never experience fear or uncertainty. It simply means that we trust ourselves enough to take action, despite those feelings. We must believe in our capacity to learn, adapt, and overcome. Building self-belief comes from reflecting on our past experiences, recognizing our achievements, and reminding ourselves of how far we've come. We've all faced challenges before, and we've all come through them stronger and wiser. By recalling those moments of triumph, we reinforce our confidence in our ability to handle whatever comes next. Resilience plays a vital role in overcoming doubt. It is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to persist despite obstacles, and to keep moving forward when things don't go as planned. Life will inevitably throw setbacks our way: failure, rejection, loss, or disappointment. These experiences can be painful, discouraging, and disheartening. But the true measure of our strength is not in how we avoid setbacks, but in how we rise after they occur. Setbacks don't define us, they are simply temporary detours on the road to success. It's not about avoiding failure, but about learning from it, using it as a stepping stone to build a stronger foundation for the future. When we experience setbacks, it's natural to feel frustrated, angry, or defeated. These emotions are a normal response to failure, but it's important not to let them consume us. We need to allow ourselves to feel the disappointment, to process it, but we cannot stay stuck in it. The longer we dwell on the setback, the more power we give it over us. Instead of letting failure define us, we must reframe it as an opportunity to learn. Every setback contains valuable lessons, whether it's learning what doesn't work, gaining new insights, or developing greater resilience. The key is to extract those lessons and use them to improve and adapt our approach moving forward. One of the greatest obstacles to overcoming setbacks is the fear of failure. Fear can paralyze us and prevent us from taking the next step. But it is essential to recognize that failure is not the end of the road, it is a part of the process. Every successful person has faced failure at some point in their journey. What sets them apart is their ability to keep going despite the setbacks. Fear of failure often stems from a fear of judgment, a concern about what others will think or say if we don't succeed. But the truth is that failure does not define us, and the opinions of others do not determine our worth. It is more important to stay true to our own vision and continue pushing forward, regardless of external judgment. When overcoming setbacks, it's crucial to develop a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, effort, and learning. With a growth mindset, setbacks are not seen as permanent failures, but as opportunities for improvement. When we view challenges as opportunities to grow, we become more open to taking risks, trying new things, and persevering through difficult times. This mindset allows us to embrace challenges rather than fear them, and it empowers us to keep moving forward even when things get tough. In addition to developing a growth mindset, it's important to set realistic expectations for ourselves. Sometimes we get discouraged not because we face setbacks, but because our expectations are too high or unrealistic. We expect everything to go perfectly, and when it doesn't, we feel like failures. It's essential to recognize that setbacks are not only inevitable, but also necessary. They are a natural part of the process, and without them, we wouldn't learn or grow. When we set realistic goals and expectations, we allow ourselves the space to fail and learn without feeling like we've completely lost our way. Another key to overcoming doubt and setbacks is perseverance. Perseverance is the determination to keep going even when things are tough. It's the ability to push through obstacles and continue striving towards your goals, no matter how many setbacks you face. Perseverance is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. It requires patience, grit, and a willingness to stay focused on the long-term vision, even when the immediate results are not visible. It's easy to get discouraged when progress seems slow or when things don't go according to plan. But perseverance is about trusting that every small step forward is bringing us closer to our goal, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. Support from others is also crucial in overcoming doubt and setbacks. While personal resilience is important, we don't have to face challenges alone. Having a support system, whether it's family, friends, mentors, or colleagues, can provide the encouragement, perspective, and accountability we need to keep going. Sometimes, when we are in the midst of doubt or facing a setback, it can be hard to see beyond our own limitations. Others can help us see the bigger picture and remind us of our strengths and potential. Their support can be the fuel that keeps us going, especially during the most difficult times. One of the most powerful tools for overcoming doubt and setbacks is self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on ourselves when things don't go as planned. We can be our own harshest critics, focusing on our mistakes and failures rather than our efforts and progress. But self-compassion is about treating ourselves with kindness, understanding, and patience. It's about acknowledging that we are human, that we will make mistakes, and that those mistakes do not diminish our worth. When we practice self-compassion, we are able to bounce back from setbacks more quickly because we give ourselves the grace to learn and grow without judgment. Finally, it's important to remember that setbacks and doubt are not permanent. They are temporary obstacles that can be overcome with persistence, resilience, and a shift in mindset. The greatest achievers in life are not those who have never faced setbacks, but those who have faced them with determination and a willingness to learn. Doubt will always be a part of the process, but it does not have to control us. Setbacks may be painful, but they do not define our future. By embracing them as part of the journey and responding with perseverance and a growth mindset, we can turn doubt and setbacks into stepping stones toward our ultimate success. Living authentically is one of the most important pursuits we can undertake in our lives. It means embracing who we truly are, letting go of the facades we put on to please others, and stepping into our own power with full acceptance of ourselves. Authenticity is often misunderstood as simply being true to oneself in isolated moments, but it encompasses far more than that. It is the ability to live in a way that is congruent with our core values, desires, and beliefs at all times, regardless of external pressures or source circumstances. In a world that constantly tries to impose expectations and mold us into something we're not, learning how to live authentically is both a courageous and liberating act. At its core, authenticity is about self-acceptance and understanding. To live authentically, we first need to know who we truly are. This requires introspection and a willingness to explore our inner world, the beliefs, fears, desires, and values that shape our decisions. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of the outside world, constantly reacting to the opinions and expectations of others, but authenticity demands that we slow down and reflect on what really matters to us. This process of self-discovery takes time, and it requires a willingness to look at ourselves honestly, without judgment or the influence of outside voices. Authenticity also requires that we stop seeking approval from others. Much of what drives people to act inauthentically is a desire to be accepted or liked. We often modify our behavior, our opinions, or even our entire identity to fit in or meet the expectations of others. In doing so, we lose touch with who we really are. Living authentically means shedding the need for validation and learning to trust ourselves. When we no longer seek constant approval from external sources, we are free to express ourselves without fear of rejection or criticism. This freedom allows us to live in alignment with our true selves rather than in response to the expectations or judgments of others. One of the greatest challenges of living authentically is overcoming the fear of judgment. Society has a way of categorizing and labeling people based on superficial qualities or behaviors, and stepping outside of these norms can feel intimidating. But when we let fear control our actions, we give away our power. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, but we cannot let it dictate our lives. When we choose authenticity over conformity, we take ownership of our identity and free ourselves from the constraints of societal approval. The key is understanding that judgment is inevitable, but it does not define us. No matter how true we are to ourselves, there will always be people who disagree with our choices or way of living. However, when we are grounded in our own truth, we can withstand external criticism with resilience and confidence. Living authentically also requires vulnerability. To truly be ourselves, we must be willing to expose parts of ourselves that we might usually hide. Vulnerability means being open and honest about our feelings, our struggles, and our desires without fear of being judged or rejected. It means embracing imperfections and acknowledging our flaws rather than pretending to be perfect or hiding behind a mask. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is strength. It takes immense courage to show up as your true self in a world that often values perfection and success over authenticity. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Authentic relationships are built on the foundation of vulnerability, as they are rooted in truth rather than pretense. One of the powerful aspects of living authentically is the ability to align our actions with our values. We all have values, things that are important to us and guide the way we live our lives. These values could be anything from honesty and compassion to ambition and independence. When we live authentically, we make decisions based on these core values rather than on what we think others expect of us or on what is convenient in the moment. Living in alignment with our values brings a sense of fulfillment and peace, as it removes the internal conflict that arises when our actions do not match our beliefs. The more we honor our values, the more we cultivate a life that feels meaningful and true to who we are. Another vital aspect of living authentically is the ability to let go of past identities and expectations. Many of us carry the weight of past experiences, identities, and labels that we have either adopted from others or that we have created for ourselves. These past versions of ourselves can be limiting, as they often do not reflect who we are today. We may feel stuck in an identity that we've outgrown or that no longer serves us, but living authentically requires the courage to shed these old beliefs and step into a new version of ourselves. It may involve letting go of a career path that no longer aligns with our passion, ending relationships that no longer bring us joy, or even releasing old habits that no longer serve us. The process of letting go can be difficult, but it is necessary for personal growth and for living in alignment with our authentic selves. In living authentically, it's also important to practice self-compassion. Authenticity does not mean being rigid or inflexible in our beliefs. It means being open to change and growth. We must be gentle with ourselves as we navigate this process of living true to who we are. We will make mistakes, and we will face moments of doubt, but that is all part of the journey. Being compassionate with ourselves allows us to learn from these experiences and continue moving forward without self-criticism. When we practice self-compassion, we can embrace the ups and downs of life with grace and understanding, rather than judging ourselves for not having all the answers or for not being perfect. Living authentically also requires that we make choices that are true to our own desires and needs, rather than living for the approval of others. We often allow the desires of others, whether they are family expectations, societal norms, or peer pressure, to influence our decisions. Living authentically means having the courage to make choices that are in alignment with our own goals, dreams, and needs, even if those choices go against the grain. It may involve making difficult decisions, such as choosing a career path that aligns with our passions, but that others may not approve of, or pursuing relationships that feel authentic to us, regardless of what others think. Making these choices can be uncomfortable, but it's through this discomfort that we find true fulfillment. It's important to remember that living authentically is not about seeking attention or approval. Authenticity is not about performing for an audience or trying to be different for the sake of standing out. It is about being true to ourselves for our own sake, not for anyone else's. It's about living in such a way that our actions reflect our inner values and beliefs without concern for how others perceive us. When we live authentically, we are not trying to impress others or conform to their expectations. Instead, we are choosing to honor our own truth, regardless of whether or not it fits into someone else's idea of who we should be. One of the most profound effects of living authentically is the sense of peace it brings. When we align our actions with our values and embrace who we truly are, we experience a deep sense of inner peace and contentment. There is no longer a need to constantly prove ourselves or to live up to external standards. We are free to be ourselves, to make mistakes, and to live in a way that feels true to us. This peace allows us to experience life in a more present and meaningful way. We no longer waste energy on trying to be someone we are not or worrying about how others see us. Instead, we can focus on what really matters, living a life that is true to our deepest self. Living authentically also deepens our connections with others. When we embrace our true selves, we invite others to do the same. Authenticity is contagious. When we are genuine and open about who we are, others feel safe to do the same. We create deeper, more meaningful relationships because they are built on truth rather than pretense. These relationships are based on mutual respect, understanding, and acceptance. When we are true to ourselves, we attract people who resonate with our energy, values, and authenticity. These relationships are far more fulfilling than those built on superficial connections or on trying to meet the expectations of others. Living authentically is a lifelong journey, one that requires ongoing self-reflection, courage, and a willingness to embrace both the beauty and the challenges of being true to ourselves. It is about letting go of the need for approval, embracing our imperfections, and being vulnerable enough to show the world who we really are. Authenticity is not always easy, but it is always worth it. When we live authentically, we create a life that is fulfilling, meaningful, and uniquely our own. We become empowered to make decisions that are in alignment with our deepest desires and values, and we free ourselves from the burden of living for others. It is only when we live authentically that we can experience the fullness of life and become the truest version of ourselves. Living in the present is often easier said than done. We are constantly pulled in many different directions. Our minds wander to past memories or future anxieties, and the present moment often slips through our fingers like sand. Yet, focusing on the present is one of the most powerful ways to improve our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. In a world filled with distractions, stress, and constant noise, learning to focus on the present is an act of mindfulness and intentional living. It's about being fully engaged with the here and now without being consumed by regrets or worries about what has been or what might come. Focusing on the present is the key to unlocking a sense of peace, joy, and fulfillment that cannot be found by living in the past or future. One of the main reasons we struggle with living in the present is our tendency to dwell on the past. We replay old conversations, relive past mistakes, and regret things we did or didn't do. The past can weigh heavily on us, clouding our present thoughts and emotions. But focusing on the past only keeps us stuck in a loop of rumination and regret. We cannot change what has already happened, no matter how much we wish we could. The past is gone, and while it may shape who we are today, it no longer holds any power over the present unless we allow it to. Every time we dwell on the past, we give away the power to shape our current reality. The present moment is where true power resides. Similarly, many of us spend a great deal of time worrying about the future. We stress over what might happen, anticipate problems before they even arise, and build mountains out of molehills. While planning for the future is important, it should never take us away from the present moment. Worrying about what may or may not happen only robs us of the joy and peace we could be experiencing right now. The future is uncertain, and no amount of worry will change that. It is natural to want to plan, to have goals, and to dream of the future, but we must balance this with an awareness that the only time we truly have is the present moment. When we focus on the future too much, we become detached from the life we are living today, and this detachment leaves us feeling disconnected, unfulfilled, and anxious. The act of focusing on the present requires us to actively choose to be here, in this moment, with all of our senses engaged. It is about becoming aware of the world around us, appreciating the small details that often go unnoticed in our rush through life. This mindfulness practice can be as simple as taking a deep breath and paying attention to the sensation of the air entering and leaving our body. It can be as complex as immersing ourselves in a creative project, fully focused on the task at hand without distraction. The more we practice focusing on the present, the more we begin to recognize the beauty and richness of life that exists within each moment. Being present also means accepting things as they are without judgment. Often we resist the present moment, wishing things were different or trying to control circumstances outside of our control. Acceptance doesn't mean that we don't want to improve or change things. It simply means that we stop fighting against reality. Instead of complaining about how things are, we can choose to make peace with them. By accepting the present moment, we free ourselves from the stress and frustration that arise when we try to force things to be a certain way. Life is imperfect, and trying to control every aspect of it only leads to anxiety. The more we accept things as they are, the more we open ourselves to the possibilities that exist within the present moment. One of the most significant benefits of focusing on the present is the sense of peace it brings. When we are caught up in the past or future, we feel a sense of restlessness and unease. The mind is constantly jumping from one thought to another, creating a whirlwind of anxiety, regret, or anticipation. But when we focus on the present, we create space for stillness. The present is the only moment where peace can be found. It is the only moment where we are fully alive and where everything we need is already within reach. The past is gone and the future hasn't arrived yet. All we have is the here and now, and it is in this moment that we can experience true peace, free from the burdens of time. Moreover, when we focus on the present, we begin to appreciate the richness of life itself. We start to notice the little things, the way the sunlight falls through the window, the sound of birds chirping outside, the taste of our favorite food, or the way a loved one's smile makes us feel. These small moments are often overlooked in our busy lives, but they hold incredible power. By being present, we allow ourselves to experience the full spectrum of life's joys, not as a fleeting moment, but as something we savor and cherish. Life is made up of these simple, everyday moments, and it is only when we are truly present that we can experience the beauty in them. The practice of mindfulness is a powerful tool for focusing on the present. It involves paying full attention to whatever we are doing in the moment, without judgment or distraction. Whether it's eating, walking, talking, or working, mindfulness invites us to immerse ourselves fully in the task at hand. It allows us to clear away mental clutter and focus on the task without the interference of thoughts about the past or future. Mindfulness also teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions without attachment. Instead of getting caught up in them, we can acknowledge them and let them pass without allowing them to dictate our actions. This awareness of the present moment can be transformative as it helps us break free from the habitual patterns of overthinking and worry. Focusing on the present can also improve our relationships. When we are truly present with others, we give them our full attention and show them that they matter. In today's digital age, it's easy to become distracted by our phones, emails, or social media while interacting with others. We may be physically present, but our minds are elsewhere. By being fully present in our relationships, we create deeper, more meaningful connections with the people in our lives. We listen attentively, respond thoughtfully, and show genuine interest in their thoughts and feelings. Presence in relationships fosters trust, understanding, and emotional intimacy. It is through these authentic connections that we experience a sense of belonging and love. Living in the present also means letting go of perfectionism. We often get caught up in trying to do things perfectly, whether it's our work, our appearance, or our relationships. Perfectionism keeps us stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction because we are always striving for something that doesn't exist. The present moment, however, is not about perfection, it's about experience. When we focus on the present, we allow ourselves to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. We embrace imperfection, knowing that it is part of the human experience. In letting go of the need to be perfect, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and greater acceptance of who we are in the moment. Another benefit of focusing on the present is the ability to reduce stress and anxiety. When we constantly worry about the future or dwell on the past, we create unnecessary mental and emotional strain. Our minds become overwhelmed with thoughts of what might happen or what has already happened, and this anxiety takes away from our ability to function in the here and now. By focusing on the present, we can manage our stress and anxiety more effectively. We take a step back from the constant barrage of thoughts and return to the grounding reality of the present moment. This sense of grounding helps us maintain clarity and focus, even in difficult situations. Rather than becoming consumed by stress, we can take each moment as it comes and respond to it with a calm, centered mind. The practice of gratitude is another powerful way to focus on the present. When we take time each day to acknowledge what we are thankful for, we shift our focus from what is lacking or what is wrong to what is abundant and good in our lives. Gratitude helps us appreciate the small blessings of the present moment, whether it's a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or a quiet moment of reflection. Focusing on gratitude draws our attention to the present, allowing us to savor the richness of our lives. Gratitude also helps us cultivate a positive mindset, as it encourages us to notice the good in the world, rather than dwell on the negative. Living in the present does not mean that we neglect our past or future. It simply means that we give our full attention to the moment at hand, without allowing past regrets or future anxieties to dominate our thoughts. The past has already shaped us, and the future will unfold as it will. But the present is where we can make choices, take action, and experience life. By focusing on the present, we unlock the ability to live fully, to experience joy and fulfillment, and to become more connected to ourselves and others. The present moment is a gift, and it is only when we truly embrace it that we can experience the beauty and richness of life in its entirety.